Hello children, hope you are set and ready for the forthcoming ordinary level examination, and the Department of English of National Institute of Education Sri Lanka is ready to join hands with you in this journey. And this program is a special program set for you to support you to face your English language paper this year. Let's take a look at the paper structure first. If you take the English paper, as you know, there are two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. In both papers, we have 8 questions. I know you are familiar with this paper structure because you have been doing your term test in the same format. So you're going to have the same format for your O-level examinations as well. And in paper 1, the 8 questions will give you 40 marks, and paper 2, we have 8 questions, and those 8 questions will give you 60 marks. Let's go in detail and see how you are tested in paper 1. The time allocated for paper 1 is, as you know, 1 hour, and paper 1 includes 8 tests, and all these tests are compulsory. மாணவர்களே, இந்த part 1 paper, பகுதி 1 இந்த பேப்பரில் வந்து உங்களுக்கு 8 questions இருக்குது. இந்த 8 questionsல எல்லா questionsuமே வந்து கட்டாயமாக நீங்கள் செய்ய வேண்டிய questions. அதை நல்லா ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கொள்ளுங்க. And the total marks for this paper is 40, as I mentioned earlier. And if we go through the paper and focus on the different types of questions and what skills are tested, and also the marks distribution, it goes like this. The question 1 is based on the skill of reading. So your skill of reading is tested in question 1. Likewise, in question 2 and 3, your skill of vocabulary is tested. Question 4 is for grammar, 5 and 7 are for reading. Likewise, question 6 and 8 are for writing. So these skills are the skills tested in question paper 1. And also, if you take a look at the column where the mark distribution is, the first question is for 5 marks. Question number 2 is also for 5 marks. And question 3, a question where your vocabulary is tested, you are given 5 marks. And this is usually a picture description question, and you are given a picture and also a paragraph underneath, and the words are also given. You will have to choose the most suitable word and fill the blanks, and for each correct answer you are given half a mark. And it goes on likewise. And if you go to question 6 and 8, where you have the writing skills tested, the mark distribution goes as C and L, and these two letters stand for content and language. So for the content, you are given 2 marks. Content சொல்றது விடய பரப்பு, அந்த உங்களுடைய அந்த பந்தியில் நீங்கள் எழுத போகிற விடயம் is content, and language வந்து உங்களுடைய மொழி பிரயோகம். In the same manner, question number 8 is also tested. You are given 2 marks for the content and 3 marks for the language. So please remember to be very careful with your grammar, spelling, punctuations, and so on. And these are the test items. We usually have 8 different test items, and the 6th one and the 8th one is highlighted in a different color to show you the importance of it, because those two are based on your writing skills. And the other tests usually are based on easy methods like matching, gap filling, underlining, writing short answers. So children, please remember not to leave any of these questions. இந்த கேள்விகள் எல்லாமே வந்து ரொம்ப இலகுவான கேள்விகள். ஸோ இந்த கேள்விகள் எல்லாம் நீங்கள் எந்தளவு முடியுமோ அந்தளவுக்கு நீங்கள் முயற்சி செய்து விடை எழுதுறதுக்கு ட்ரை பண்ணுங்கள். நீங்கள் இந்த கேள்விகள் எல்லாம் மிஸ் பண்ணீங்கன்னு சொன்னால் உங்களுக்கு அநியாயமாக புள்ளிகளை நீங்கள் இழக்க வேண்டி வரும். Right? Okay, so if you take a look at the first question, I'll take you through a few questions. This question is taken from the 2018 ordinary level paper. Let me read the question for you. Please remember, when you are given the question, you are expected to read the instructions. Read the instructions properly before you attempt to answer the question. கேள்விகளை கட்டாயமாக வாசித்து விளங்குறதுக்கு அப்புறமா நீங்கள் பதில் எழுதுறதுக்கு ஆரம்பிக்கிறது மிகவும் நல்லது. Match the following places with their descriptions. Let me repeat. Match the following places with their descriptions. Write the correct letter in the blank. Write the correct letter in the blank. So when you read the instructions, you will not go wrong. And also, imagine that you forget to read the instruction, you still have help, as the first one is always done for you. As you can see in this particular question, you are given 6 different answer options under the letters A, B, C, D, E and F, and those words are places: hospital, university, library, temple, zoo and the airport. And below that you have some descriptions, and you are expected to match the places with these descriptions. The first one is done for you. Let me read that for you. A place where planes land and take off. Imagine that you don't understand certain words, like we say land and take off, because the word land means there are several meanings for that word. So here in this particular context, if you don't understand, right, you can somehow guess the answer with some word in that particular sentence. So if you take time to read, you can get these clue words. For example, here if you take the same sentence, maybe you don't get the word land or take off, but still you have the word planes there, and that is the example given to you. So the letter F is the correct answer. Under letter F you have the answer option, airport. Likewise, if you go to the next one, a place of religious worship. Maybe you don't know the meaning of the word worship. I know you know the word worship, it's a common word, but of course the word religious is a commonly used word. So you know, if you go through all these answer options, a place where religion is connected is obviously the temple. So these are words which I'm sure you learned in your smaller grades, maybe when you were in grade 3 or 4, all these words you must have learnt, right? So this question is going to be definitely an easy question, so please attempt the question, don't miss it out, and you can definitely gain the mark allocated for this particular question. And the third one, a place where animals, birds and reptiles are kept for exhibition. Once again, the word reptile is quite tricky here. Imagine that you don't know the word. Reptile என்ற சொல்லுக்கு என்ன அர்த்தம்னு உங்களுக்கு தெரியாதுன்னு சொல்லுவோம். But anyways, you have the word birds and animals, common words. So you know the word which connects to birds and animals is nothing but the zoo. So you will definitely get that word, that letter option, E, and fill the blank. So this is how this particular question will be. So please children, take time to read the question, especially the instruction, and then I'm sure these kind of questions are easy for you to score marks. Let me take you through another question of the same kind. This is taken from the 2020 ordinary level paper. This looks a little different, a little easier, I would say, compared to the previous one, because here you have picture clues, images. So all these pictures are very clear, and I know all of us are very much familiar with all these images. Let's read through the options given, maybe the instructions given. Instruction number 1, avoid fast food. Instruction number 2, wear a face mask. 3, wash your hands. 4, get your temperature checked. 5, use a hand sanitizer. 6, maintain 2-meter distance. Imagine you don't understand the instruction. Maybe let's see the 4th one, get your temperature checked. What you can do is just leave it aside and go through the easy ones, but you can understand, right? So this is a common mistake made by most of the students. You keep on wasting time on the questions, you don't get it. There's no harm, you can just leave it and come back to it, after completing all the easy questions. Now here, if you take the first one, avoid fast food, you know what fast food is. So from all these pictures, just one picture where you have food items cut off. So definitely that is the answer, and that is as usual done for you. And if you take the second one, wear a face mask, which is a commonly known word, everyone knows what it is now. So you would go for the answer option A. and wash your hands, use a hand sanitizer, maintain 2-meter distance. All these questions and the picture clues are quite easy for you to get the answer. So once you are done with all of those answers, obviously there is one picture remaining and that is going to be your answer. So மாணவர்களே, உங்களுக்கு இந்த எந்த ஒரு வாக்கியத்திலையும் உங்களுக்கு புரியாத சில சொற்கள் இருந்துச்சுன்னு சொன்னால் அந்த ஆன்சர் அந்த கேள்வியை வந்து நீங்கள் அப்படியே விட்டுட்டு மிச்ச ஆன்சர்ஸ் எல்லாம் செஞ்சுட்டு அதுக்கப்புறமா நீங்கள் கடைசியாக அந்த கொஸ்டின் வந்து அட்டெம்ப்ட் பண்ணலாம். ஓகே, ஸோ எந்த ஒரு கேள்வியும் தயவு செஞ்சு மிஸ் பண்ணிட்டு போக வேணாம். இந்த கொஸ்டின்ஸ் வந்து உங்களுக்கு புள்ளிகள் எடுக்கிறதுக்கு ரொம்ப ஈஸியான கொஸ்டின் ஆப்ஷன்ஸ், எஸ்பெஷலி இந்த பார்ட் 1 பேப்பரில் இந்த கொஸ்டின்ஸ் எல்லாமே ரொம்ப இலகுவான கொஸ்டின்ஸ். Let me take you to another question. This is from the 2021 paper. Once again, let me read the instructions. Match the following pictures with the names of the places given below. This is somewhat similar to the previous one I showed you. Write the letter once again of the most suitable picture in the box given against each picture. The first one is done for you. So when the first one is done for you, you don't have to get confused whether to write the number or the letter or whatever, because the example is clearly given. And this one, you see, this is a 2021 paper. So the words given are quite easy and quite familiar. Post office, hospital, railway station, school, restaurant and the harbour. Right? So I'm telling you again and again, these questions are mostly very simple. You can easily get that 5 marks. So please take your time, read the instructions and try your level best to get the full mark for these questions. And this is a breakdown of the past papers and how these particular questions are designed for those during those years. Let's take a look at it. The reading skill is tested. So from 2018 to 2021, this has been the first question of paper 1, and in 2018 it is a question which expected the students to match places with the descriptions, and 2019 matching notices with places. 2020 it's matching instructions with pictures, and 2021 matching pictures with places. So most of the time you are given pictures, instructions, simple words. So this is how this particular question is designed. So I'm sure that this is not going to be a difficult question. If you had thought that this is going to be a difficult question, not anymore. You're going to attempt this question this time and definitely get the full marks. Right. So let's take a look at test 2 and 4. Usually test 2 and 4 are based on your grammar skills. So they are to test your skills on grammar. But don't worry, this is not hard grammar. You know, sections like prepositions, pronouns, verbs, adjectives and articles, most of the time these questions, these test items are based on questions where you will have to fill the blanks with the given answer options. Let's go through the past O-level question papers and the test type what they have already given so far. This question is either question 2 or question 4. In 2017 it was question 2 and the test type was to complete a dialogue, and the grammar section which was tested on was the usage of the correct verb form. And in 2018, once again completing a dialogue, but the grammar section is on prepositions. 2019, editing a text. What is editing a text? We'll talk about it in a short while. Editing a text என்ற question என்னன்னு சொல்லி இன்னும் கொஞ்சத்துல நாங்க பார்ப்போம். So here you are tested on verbs, articles and adjectives. 2020 paper completing a text based on pronouns, and 2021 completing a dialogue based on prepositions. Let me show you a question from one of the past papers. This is from 2018 past paper. Read the instructions, fill in the blanks in the following dialogue, use the words given in the box. The first one is done for you. You are expected to use the given answer options to fill the blanks. Now, if you go through the words, you can clearly understand the answer options. I mean, you can clearly understand that those answer options are prepositions. Now, children, you have learned prepositions. You have been learning prepositions from the small grades. So, these prepositions are quite common ones. So, I'm sure that you can handle them. So, this is a dialogue between a policeman and Ravindra. So, in this particular test item, blanks are given where you are expected to use the correct preposition to fill the blank. And let's go to another question. This question is also more or less the same. Underline the most suitable word to fill in each blank. Now, in the previous question, you were expected to write the word. Here, you are expected to underline the most suitable word. So, children, instructions உங்களுக்கு கொடுத்திருக்கிற instructions வாசிக்க சொல்லி சொல்கிறது இதனால தான். ஏன்னா முதல் கொஸ்டினில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னு சொன்னால் ஃபார்மேட் ஒரே மாதிரி இருந்துச்சு. ஆனால் கொஸ்டின் வந்து சரியான சொல்லை வந்து எழுத சொல்லி கேட்டிருந்தாங்க. இங்கே சரியான சொல்லுக்கு கீழே நீங்கள் அண்டர்லைன் பண்ண சொல்லி கேட்டிருக்காங்க. ஸோ நீங்கள் கொஸ்டினை சரியாக வாசிக்கலைன்னு சொன்னால் இதில் உங்களுக்கு கன்ஃபியூஷன்ஸ் வந்து சில நேரம் நீங்கள் அண்டர்லைன் பண்ணாமல் ஆன்சர் எழுதக்கூடிய சந்தர்ப்பம் இருக்குது. ஸோ இன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷன்ஸ் கண்டிப்பாக வாசித்து ஃபாலோ பண்ணுங்கள். Underline the most suitable word to fill in each blank. The first one is done for you. If you observe all these answer options in this particular question, you can see all of these is based on pronouns. There are different types of pronouns, you know, subject pronoun, object pronoun, reflexive pronoun, possessive pronoun, all types of pronouns we have learnt. You know, so I know you are familiar with this, the difference between the, you know, different types of pronouns. So this particular question is based on the pronouns. Now let's take a look at the third question. As I promised you earlier, let me tell you what this editing a text is all about. Now here, if you take this particular question, it says each underlined word in the following text is incorrect. இந்த மாதிரியான questionsல உங்களுக்கு ஒரு பேராகிராஃப் கொடுக்கப்படும். அந்த பேராகிராஃபில் சில சொற்கள், அதாவது அண்டர்லைன் பண்ணியிருக்கிற சொற்கள் வந்து பிழையான முறையில் தான் அந்த பந்தியில் அவங்க பாவிச்சிருக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ நீங்கள் செய்ய வேண்டியது எடிட் பண்ணணும். எடிட் பண்ணுறதுன்னு சொன்னால் நீங்கள் சரியான சொல்ல கொடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிற அந்த இடைவெளியில் எழுதணும். ஸோ எடிட்டிங் அ டெக்ஸ்ட் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறது இந்த கொஸ்டின் தான். Write the correct word in the space provided. The first one is done for you. So to understand this particular test or to figure out the answer, you will definitely have to read the whole paragraph. இந்த முழு பந்தியையும் நீங்கள் ஒருக்கா வாசிச்சா தான் உங்களுக்கு என்ன டென்ஸ் அங்கே யூஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கிறாங்க, ஏன் அந்த அண்டர்லைன் பண்ண சொல் பிழையானதுன்னு சொல்லி உங்களுக்கு புரிஞ்சு கொள்ள முடியும். The grade 9 students of our school have planned to play a cricket match yesterday. Everyone were present in time. However, just before a match, it started raining. They waited at least 2 hours, but the rain did not stop. They were very sadly. At the end, they decided to play cricket on the following day. So when you read this paragraph itself, you can feel that there is something not right, right? So your ears, which are used to English all these years, will definitely correct you, and your knowledge of tenses, grammar, the use of articles will definitely help you to do with this particular activity, this particular question. And let's move on to the next one. This is question 3, picture description. When it comes to picture description, children, there are certain instructions you will have to follow. Mainly, vocabulary is tested under the picture description question. Now, when you are given the picture, you are given a picture and then a paragraph, the description below the picture with blanks, and the answer options are also given. That is how usually these questions appear in your question paper. உங்களுக்கு ஒரு படம் தரப்படும், அந்த படத்துக்கு கீழே ஒரு பேராகிராஃப் ஒன்று தருவாங்க. அந்த பேராகிராஃபில் பிளாங்க்ஸ் இருக்கும். அந்த பிளாங்க்ஸை தான் நீங்கள் ஃபில் பண்ண வேண்டி இருக்கும். In order to do that, first you should understand the picture. So, better if you can study the picture well. You read the picture, you study the picture. just observe what is on the background, what is on the foreground, and what are the characters there, what place is that, and what the people are doing. You just focus on all this. Just spend a few minutes to study the picture very well. Then notice that the first and the last sentences do not have blanks. Usually in these paragraphs, the first and the last sentences are not given with blanks. They are complete sentences, and they will help you to get the whole picture of that particular paragraph. Therefore, you can very easily get the whole idea from the first sentence. That's what they say. Understand the sentence structure. This would help you to figure out more about what is happening in the picture, the actions, and then think of the missing verbs, helping verbs, nouns and adjectives. And do the easy ones first. Cut off the used words with a pencil. And when they give you the answer options on a side, you can use the words and cut off the words which you have already used, because I think mostly you can use only one word only once. So be very careful when you're doing it. Better if you can use a pencil and cut off those words you're using. And for you to kind of get the full marks for this particular question, mainly you should study the picture and also read the paragraph with blanks and try to get the idea of the picture which is mentioned in the paragraph. Now, this is how this particular test has been, this has appeared in papers from 2018 to 2021. In 2018, it is completing a text based on a picture, words are given. So if you just go through all these papers, 2019, 20 and 21, it has been the same kind of a question where you are given a picture and then a text based on the picture is given, word clues are given, and you are simply expected to read and choose the most suitable word and fill the blanks. Let's take a look at a question now. Hope you can see this picture. Study the picture and fill the blanks in the text given below. Use only one word in each blank. So உங்களுக்கு 11 blanks கொடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கு. ஆனால் முதலாவது blank வந்து ஆல்ரெடி ஃபில் பண்ணியிருக்கிறதுனால இதில் 10 questions உங்களுக்காக இருக்குது. ஸோ 10 words உங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கு. இந்த 10 wordsையும் சரியாக வாசித்து இந்த பேராகிராஃபையும் நீங்கள் நல்லா வாசித்து மிக பொருத்தமான சொல்ல தேர்ந்தெடுத்து நீங்கள் இந்த கேப்ஸ் ஃபில் பண்ண வேண்டி இருக்குது. அதுக்கு முக்கியமாக நீங்கள் செய்ய வேண்டியது இந்த கொடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிற படத்தை, பிக்சரை வந்து நல்லா நீங்கள் ஸ்டடி பண்ணணும். ஓகே, பிக்சரை நல்லா ஸ்டடி பண்ணி பேராகிராஃபையும் நல்லா நீங்கள் வாசித்தா தான் உங்களுக்கு சரியான சொற்களை எடுத்து இந்த blanks எல்லாம் ஃபில் பண்ண முடியும். So if you take this particular picture, look at the first sentence. This is a picture of a kitchen. And the very last one, the kitchen looks neat and tidy. Okay, these two sentences are complete sentences, and those two sentences are giving some sort of an idea about the picture. And take a look at the picture. It's very clear that it is a picture or something is happening in the kitchen. There are two characters, so they are doing something related to cooking, they are baking, dicing, something related to kitchen. And then if you take a look at the word clues, you can once again see those are very simple and ordinary words, right? So this kind of a question is also once again easy for you to gain marks if you focus more on the picture, paragraph, and also the word clues. Let me show you another picture. Test 3, a picture description, and in this also you can see, as usual, the picture is given, the paragraph is given, and also the word clues are given. Hope you can see how the used word is already been cut off. So if you can use this particular technique, you will not get confused because you are strictly expected to use only one word once, right? Okay, let's move on to test 5 now, because we have already discussed test 2 and 4, so we are moving on to test 5. So this is a question most of the children, sometimes, get confused with, right? I'll tell you an easy method to attempt this question. Reading comprehension, read and transfer information to another form. உங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிற ஒரு டெக்ஸ்ட் ஒரு பேராகிராஃபில் இருக்கிற விடயங்களை நீங்கள் எடுத்து இன்னொரு ஃபார்மேட்டில் போடணும். மேபி ஒரு அட்டவணையாக இருக்கலாம், இல்லை ஒரு சமரியாக இருக்கலாம். இதில் தரப்பட்டு இருக்கிற அதே விடயங்களை வந்து நீங்கள் மறுபடியும் வேறொரு விதமாக நீங்கள் கொடுக்க போகிறீங்க. அதுதான் இந்த கொஸ்டினோட மெயின் எதிர்பார்ப்பு என்னன்னு சொன்னால் அதுதான். இப்போ இதில் உதாரணமாக இந்த டேபிள் ஒர்க்கை பார்த்தீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு புரியும். If you take the past paper of 2018 and 2019, there the students have been given the task of completing a summary based on a given reading passage. And if you take the past papers of 2020 and 2021, there it is completing a table. So this is how it happens. So you read and transfer the information to another form, from paragraph to a table, from a paragraph to the summary of the same passage, right? Let me show you a question. Now this is how it appears. Please listen, children. I told you, I promised you that I will tell you an easy method to attempt this particular question. It clearly says, read the text and complete the table given below. The first one is done for you. So this is a small paragraph, a very small paragraph about a country. The country is Malta. So you can see the title, Malta, and then a very small paragraph is given, and then the table given below has the the relevant fact which you are supposed to derive from this passage, right? And if you go through those facts which are expected from you, you can find an order. இதில் ஒரு ஒழுங்குமுறை இருக்கிறது நீங்கள் கவனிப்பீங்க. இந்த பேராகிராஃபை நீங்கள் வாசிக்கும் போது அந்த பேராகிராஃபுக்கும் இந்த கேள்விகளுக்கும் இடையில் ஒரு ஆர்டர் இருக்கிறது நீங்கள் கவனிப்பீங்க. Malta is a country with 3 islands. They are the island of Malta itself and the smaller islands of Gozo and Comino. The area of the Malta island is 256 square kilometers, while Gozo is 67 square kilometers in area. Comino is only 3.5 square kilometers. There are 2 ethnic groups in Malta. They are Maltese and non-Maltese. So this is the paragraph. And look at the instructions, look at the facts you are expected to derive from this. First one, the name of the country. If you look at the paragraph, once again you can clearly see the name of the country is there at the beginning of the paragraph. So it's easy. If you just read according to that particular order, it's very easy for you to trace those answers, right? You can see the connection between the order of the questions and also the paragraph. And then the smallest island, see where that particular answer is. Okay, for you to, we have made it easier for you by highlighting those answers in different colors. If you go to the answer which is highlighted in blue, you can see that is the answer for the second one, the smallest island. Comino is only 3.5 square kilometers. So the first answer comes in the first sentence of the paragraph, and then the second answer comes after that, and see the third one comes below that, right? So there is a connection between the order of facts you have in the paragraph and also the order which is given in the table. So please observe this order, and if you read it according to that order, you don't have to spend much time in reading all those, the entire paragraph. Sometimes if you actually read the table and understand the relevant information, என்ன facts, என்ன information, என்ன தகவல் உங்களுக்கு கேட்குறாங்க நீங்கள் முதல்ல வாசித்து அது நீங்கள் விளங்கி கொண்டீங்கன்னு சொன்னால் இந்த question attempt பண்ணுறது ரொம்ப இலகுவாக இருக்கும். Right? So the number of ethnic groups, there are 2 ethnic groups. So the number of ethnic groups, 2 is the answer. Right? So in the reading comprehension questions வந்து மிகவும் இலகுவானது, முக்கியமாக பேப்பர் 1ல. ஸோ நீங்கள் இதை ஸ்கிப் பண்ணாமல் ட்ரை பண்ணிங்கன்னு சொன்னால் நிச்சயமாக உங்களுக்கு அந்த 5 marks எடுக்க முடியும். Right. Let's move on to test 7 now. In test 7, read and write short answers and underline the correct answers. So this is also a question which is based on reading. So according to the past papers, if you take the 2017 and 18 past papers, there you were expected to read a comprehension passage. So this is a little different from the previous one. These comprehension passages are a little longer than the previous one. So you are expected to read and give short answers, not lengthy answers, short answers. So this is according to 2017 and 18 papers. But afterwards, 2019 onwards up to 2021, if you take a look at the past papers, the question, the test type is slightly different. They have changed it a little bit. So you are given multiple choice questions. பல் தேர்வு வினா மாதிரி உங்களுக்கு ஆன்சர் ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் கொடுக்கப்படும். நீங்கள் அதில் சரியான ஆன்சரை அண்டர்லைன் பண்ணால் போதும். Right? So this also has been made easier for you. You read the passage, understand, read the questions and choose the most suitable word given under the options and underline that. Sometimes they might ask you to circle the number, so please read the given instruction and follow the instruction accordingly. Right. Let's go to the most important section and a skill which most of the children are scared of being tested, that is the writing skill. So usually questions 6 and 8 are based on writing. So your skill of writing is tested through these questions. So if we take these text types, the first one is writing a note or a notice. So the type of this test is writing a note or a notice, right? Or writing a reply to a letter. You are given a letter and expected to write a reply on that, or an invitation is given and you are expected to write a reply on that, right? So if you focus on the structure of these kind of writing, especially when it comes for notices and notes, you should definitely remember to include the venue, date and time, and also this particular phrase. If you are asked to invite somebody, you definitely can use this particular phrase, all are invited, which is quite easy to remember. And also the date can be used in a note, okay, because you know a note is a very informal piece of writing. You can definitely write the date, but there is no need of a salutation. You don't have to say dear or my dearest, no need. You can simply address the person, you know, by name, because we usually write notes to people whom we are very much familiar with, right? So you don't have to sound official there. Right, so let's take a look at this question. Here there are two examples. Let's read the question first and I'll give you some instructions. You are the secretary of the nature club of your school, right? You are the secretary of the nature club of your school. You have organized a film show on nature. Write a notice inviting all students of grade 11 to participate in this event. Use about 40 to 50 words. So this is a requirement, 40 to 50 words. So உங்களுடைய நோட்டாக இருக்கட்டும், நோட்டீஸாக இருக்கட்டும், 40 to 50 வேர்ட்ஸ்னு சொல்லி உங்களுக்கு ஒரு வேர்ட் லிமிட் கொடுத்தால் தயவு செஞ்சு அந்த வேர்ட் லிமிட்டுக்குள்ளே இருக்க பாருங்கள். இது ரொம்ப முக்கியமான ஒரு விஷயம், ரைட்? Include date, time and place. Usually they give you this instruction in the question, especially if you are expected to write a notice, right? Okay, let's take a look at these two formats. There are two notices given, two examples given, and you can see a slight change in the format. The first one goes like this. The Nature Club of Isuru Vidyalaya has organized a film show on nature. It will be held on the 25th of May 2023 at 2 p.m. in the school auditorium. All the students of grade 11 are invited to this event and you are the secretary according to the question and you are the one who is inviting, therefore you sign, right? Secretary, Nature Club, right? So that makes it sound more official and credible, right? And also if you go through the second notice, you can see the format is changed. The Nature Club of Isuru Vidyalaya has organized a film show on nature to raise awareness on how to protect it. Date, time and place, these are given in point forms, and the last sentence is more or less the same. All the students of grade 11 are invited to this important event. Secretary, Nature Club. Remember, you can use either the first format or the second format, but your requirement, please keep in mind, you are expected to use about 40 to 50 words. So you have to be tactful enough to organize your sentences. You can use adjectives, adverbs, if you lack the number of words. And remember, you are not going to decorate it so much because this is for 5 marks, and please stick to the point, right? Whatever you are asked to do, you have to include especially the date, time and the place. Hope that is clear. And let's take a look at a note. You know the difference between a notice and a note. A note is, as I mentioned earlier, is quite informal. So notice and note இந்த ரெண்டு நீங்கள் எடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னு சொன்னால் notice வந்து more official and a note வந்து informal. note வந்து நம்ம எழுதுறது பொதுவாக நமக்கு ரொம்ப தெரிஞ்ச சில பேருக்கு நம்ம ஒரு அவசரமான ஒரு தகவல் கொடுக்கறதுக்காக இருந்தால் நம்ம நோட் எழுதுறது உண்டு. நோட்டீஸ் வந்து பொதுவாக உங்களுக்கு தெரியும், ஒரு அறிவிப்பு பலகையில் நம்ம போடுறதுக்காக தான் அது எழுதப்படுறது, ரைட்? ஸோ இன் அ நோட் you can be like less formal. Date, of course, fine, you can write, but you don't have to use the salutation. You can simply say Nimalka, and then at the end you can sign your name, just say Amaya. You don't have to say yours faithfully, thank you. You don't have to use those phrases there. So if you just take a look at this note, you can see, I saw a notice on a film show on nature organized by the Nature Club. It will be held on the 25th of May at 2 p.m. in the school auditorium. I'm interested in participating in this event. Will you join? That's it, right? So based on the question given, you have to include the relevant information, relevant fact, either in a notice or note which you are expected to write. Please remember the number of words, right? Okay, let's move on to test 8, writing, and here your requirement is 50 to 60 words. This is where you are expected to write a short paragraph. I know most of the students feel relieved when they come to this particular question because this is the 8th question. So after going through all the questions, you come to the last one in paper 1 where you are expected to write a short paragraph. So in the paragraph வந்து ஒரு சிறிய பந்திங்கிறதுனால 50 to 60 words மட்டுமே யூஸ் பண்ணணுங்கிறதுனால நீங்கள் வந்து straight away உங்களுடைய points, the facts வந்து இதில் எழுதுறதுக்கு முடிஞ்ச அளவு முயற்சி பண்ணுங்கள். எஸ்ஸே மாதிரி நீங்கள் அதிகப்படியான சொற்களோ இல்லை தேவையில்லாத விளக்கங்கள் இங்கே கொடுக்க வேண்டிய அவசியம் இல்லை. ஸ்ட்ரெயிட் ஃபார்வர்ட்லி நீங்கள் கேட்டிருக்கிற விடயங்களை மட்டுமே இதில் எழுதினாலே போதும். Now look at these examples. We have taken a few topics given. First one is an unforgettable day in my life, an interesting person I know, a helpful person in my life, a place I like to visit, my best friend. Likewise, it's going on. And then, what should you keep in mind when it comes for writing these kind of paragraphs? First one is the tense, right? Why the tense is important? Now see, the first one, an unforgettable day in my life. If it is an unforgettable day, definitely this particular incident or this day has passed already. Maybe it is your birthday, someone surprised you, okay, or the day you got the badge, or you were elected the president of a club in your school, or you won an award. So this is already over. So you should use the past tense there because you're kind of recalling the past and narrating why this particular day is unforgettable for you. So the tense is important, and the facts. Remember, 50 to 60 words, right? So you can't just unleash your imagination and write more. You have to kind of control your facts here. Examples you can give, and also the reasons relevant to the topic, right? And also if you go down, if I take the topic, my best friend, right? My best friend. So there, if you talk about your best friend or my class teacher or my favorite teacher or my mother, for all these topics, you are expected to use the simple present tense, right? So all these writing patterns, writing skills, the tenses, usage of tenses, vocabulary, and all of these are taught from your small grades, and this is time now for you to recall them, right, to practice, right? And so if you focus on those facts, I think you can definitely attempt this question also in a really successful manner. So we are done with the first paper. So as I mentioned earlier, 8 questions, and except for 1 or 2 questions, all the other questions are quite easy. As I mentioned, as I showed you, you have matching, underlining, filling the gaps and so on, except for 1 or 2 questions where you will have to write something. So children, please keep in mind that if you find it a little difficult, ஏதாவது ஒரு வினா வந்து உங்களுக்கு கொஞ்சம் டிஃபிகல்ட்டாக இருந்தால், கஷ்டமாக இருந்தால், அதை நீங்கள் ஸ்கிப் பண்ணிவிட்டு இன்னொரு கொஸ்டினுக்கு போய் அந்த கொஸ்டினை செஞ்சுட்டு மறுபடியும் வந்து இந்த கொஸ்டினை நீங்கள் கண்டிப்பாக செய்யலாம். ஓகே, ஸோ முடிஞ்ச அளவு கொஸ்டின்ஸ் ஸ்கிப் பண்ணாமல் எல்லா கொஸ்டின்ஸையும் அட்டெம்ப்ட் பண்ண பாருங்கள். இந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பேப்பரில் 40 மார்க்ஸ் எடுக்கிறது வந்து ரொம்ப ஈஸியான ஒரு விஷயம். ஸோ ஐ திங்க் யூ கேன் டெஃபினெட்லி ஸ்கோர் the maximum out of total 40. Right. So for this particular question, question number 8, this is how you are given the mark, right? 5 marks altogether, as you know, 2 marks for the content and 3 for the language. If you take the content, for the question number 6, if you talk about the question number 6, that is the notice question. If all points are included, you get total 2 marks. If only some points are included, just 1 mark. If the question is copied or if your content is totally irrelevant, then no marks. Likewise, if you go to question 8, that is the short paragraph. For meaningful paragraphs with required length, 2 marks. If the content is insufficient, then only 1 mark is given. If the question is copied once again and the content is totally irrelevant, then no mark is allocated. When it comes to language, for both questions, almost no errors, right? Well-connected sentences, correct spelling and punctuation. Not only the spelling, not only the grammar, and also punctuation is very important. Please keep that in mind. Your full stops, your commas, your inverted commas, your apostrophes very specially, please focus on them. And with some errors, well-connected sentences, there are some errors, maybe spelling errors, but still the sentences have a flow, okay, well-connected. Some errors in spelling and punctuation, maybe you forgot a comma or a full stop, or maybe you forgot to start a new sentence with a capital letter, okay, but still your sentences are correct, well-connected, you will still be given 2 marks for that. And if it is like, a few errors and then, it's like the sentences are not that connected, maybe irrelevant facts, then 1 mark is given, okay. All the sentences are incorrect. So if none of your sentence is correct, then obviously no marks is given. All right, children. Now let's take a look at paper 2. As you know, paper 2 also consists of 8 questions, and the structure of question paper 2 is as follows. The time allocated for paper 2 is 2 hours. The paper 2 includes 8 tests and all tests are compulsory. Test 14 has 2 choices, whereas test 16 has 4. The total mark for paper 2 is 60. Now we are going to focus more on test 14 and test 16. Mainly இந்த 2 questions வரும்போது ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் வந்து நிறையவே கொஞ்சம் யோசிக்கிறது உண்டு. ஏன்னா இந்த டெஸ்ட் 14 and 16 கொஞ்சம் நீங்கள் எழுத வேண்டியிருக்கும். அண்ட் இந்த 2 கொஸ்டின்ஸுக்குமே வந்து மார்க்ஸும் வந்து 10 to 15 அந்த ரேஞ்சில் வர்றனால அநேகமாக இந்த 2 கொஸ்டின்ஸில் வந்து நீங்கள் மார்க்ஸ் ஒன்று அட்டெம்ப்ட் பண்ணுறதில்ல சில நேரம், பிகாஸ் நிறைய எழுதணுங்கிறதுக்காக. அப்படி இல்லைன்னு சொன்னால் கொஞ்சம் எழுதிட்டு விடுறது. ஓகே, ஸோ இந்த 14 and 16 கொஸ்டின்ஸை நாங்கள் இன்றைக்கி ஒரு கொஞ்சம் ஃபோக்கஸ் பண்ணி பார்ப்போம். நீங்கள் முடிஞ்ச அளவு இந்த முயற்சி பண்ணி இந்த 14 and 16 questions நீங்கள் attempt பண்ணீங்கன்னு சொன்னால் உங்களுக்கு புள்ளிகள் எடுக்கக்கூடிய சந்தர்ப்பம் வந்து அதிகம். Right, so this is the paper structure and how you are tested and what is tested. Test 9 is vocabulary, and in test 10 your grammar and language functions are tested. Test 11 is reading. Test 12 once again grammar and language functions. Test 13 reading. Test 14 and 16, so we are going to focus on these two tests, that's why it is highlighted in two different color, and test 15 is reading once again. So let's take a look at test 14. In 14 you are given two choices. One is writing a letter. It can be either formal or informal. B, or the second option, is writing a short paragraph using graphical information. So this question is commonly known among students as the bar graph question or the pie chart question, right? So you can either choose the letter or the writing a short paragraph based on graphical information. So let me take you to two different types of letters. If you are given, if you are choosing to write the letter, depending on the question, either you are expected to write a formal letter or an informal letter. If you take the first format given here, this is the format of an informal letter, right? So here we have given the address of the sender, the date is given, and then straight away you address the person who's receiving the letter, like Dear Sanjaya, and then the body of the letter comes next, and then you finish it saying yours Amal. So depending on the question, maybe you are telling Sanjay about your new school, or you are telling him about your birthday celebration, or you're going to tell him about something you have won, an award or prize or something. So whatever it is, based on, or inviting your friend to spend his holidays with you, so it can be anything, but this is how it should be, right? You don't have to worry much about you know, the information you should include here, because this is informal. Simply your address, the date is important, salutation and the conclusion. Whereas in the formal letter, in the official letter, you have several other factors to keep in mind. Sender's address comes first, and then the date, and then the receiver's address, okay? And then comes the salutation and the subject matter, the main subject of the letter. The reason why you are writing the letter should be mentioned as the title, and you are expected to underline this, right? And then the body of the letter based on the title, and then comes the conclusion part where you say thank you, yours faithfully, your signature and your name in clear writing. If you look at this particular example given on the screen, you can see the sender's address is written on the right side, the receiver's address is written on the left side. Once again, the conclusion part is given, the signature is given on the right side. So this is a question many children have, whether this is the right format or whether you are expected to write all of these, the sender's address, receiver's address and the conclusion, everything, the complementary clause we call it, everything on the left side. So both methods are correct, right? So children, in the letteroda format பார்த்தீங்கன்னு சொன்னா, especially the official letter, formal letter பார்த்தீங்கன்னு சொன்னா, sender's address வலது பக்கமா இருக்குது, receiver's address வந்து இடது பக்கமா இருக்கு. இந்த உதாரணம் காட்டியிருக்கிற உதாரணத்தில். பட் நீங்கள் வந்து எல்லாத்தையுமே, அதாவது சென்டர்ஸ் அட்ரஸ், டேட், ரிசீவர்ஸ் அட்ரஸ், அதே நேரம் காம்ப்ளிமெண்ட்ரி க்ளோஸ், தேங்க்யூ, யோர்ஸ் ஃபேத்ஃபுல்லி, அது எல்லாமே வந்து இடது பக்கம் லெஃப்ட் சைடில் வந்து நீங்கள் எழுதலாம். இந்த ரெண்டு மெத்தடுமே வந்து அக்செப்டட் மெத்தட் தான். முக்கியம் இதில் என்னன்னு சொன்னால், the body of the letter. If you take a look at this particular letter, it says requesting information about the prices of English storybooks. So your body should contain the relevant information related to this particular question, this particular title. Okay, so this title is given here, because that is the requirement based on the question. So the question is like, write a letter requesting for information about prices of English books at a bookstore, something like that. So that is how this particular answer is designed. And I would like to tell you another important fact here. Now imagine that you have struggle in building your paragraph. In the body of the letter, அதை எழுதுறதுக்கு உங்களுக்கு கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டமாக இருந்துச்சுன்னு சொன்னால், right, at least in the format மட்டும் சரி நீங்கள் எழுதுங்க. Address, sender's address, receiver's address, date, salutation, and the title, அதுக்கப்புறமா complimentary close. Thank you, yours faithfully. At least இதை மட்டுமாவது நீங்கள் எழுதி வைங்க உங்களுடைய லெட்டரில். You will get marks, right? I'm not discouraging you not to write the body of the letter. Please write. You are expected to write the body of the letter. But if you find it difficult, if you really find it difficult to build this body of the letter, at least you write these facts. That will definitely give you marks. You can avoid the 0, right? So hope that is clear. This is one option under test 14. And here comes the second option. Writing a short paragraph using graphical information. So this information, sometimes it's given on a pie chart or a bar graph or on a table. So based on this, you are expected to write a paragraph, right? Let me show you a question here. If you take this particular question, it says the following bar graph shows the favorite sports of grade 11 students of Isuru Mahavidyalaya Panadura. Study the graph and fill in the blanks, right? So if you are given a paragraph with blanks, it's going to be easy. You will have to fill the blanks. But most of the time you are given a blank page where you are expected to write the whole paragraph. That is how this is tested. And you remember, this is a common error I observe. It says the following bar graph, and then the bar graph is given, and then below the bar graph you are given the space to write your answer. So most of the students begin your answer saying the following bar graph, which is wrong because your bar graph is above the space given. Okay, hope you understand. In the question நீங்க ஒருக்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா பிள்ளைகள் உங்களுக்கு தெரியும், இந்த questionல இருக்கு the following bar graph, கீழே தரப்பட்டுள்ள bar graph, following அப்படின்னு சொன்னா கீழே தரப்பட்டுள்ள. Usually இந்த question தரும்போது question, bar graph, அதுக்கப்புறமா உங்களுக்கு blank space கொடுத்திருப்பாங்க. அந்த blank spaceல தான் நீங்க உங்களுடைய paragraph எழுதணும். அந்த paragraph எழுதும்போது நீங்க the following bar graphனு ஆரம்பிச்சீங்கன்னு சொன்னா அது பிழை. Okay, it should be the above bar graph, right? ஏன்னா உங்களுடைய bar graph வந்து நீங்க பதில் எழுத வேண்டிய அந்த ஸ்பேஸுக்கு மேலே தான் இருக்குது, right? I'll show you. This is how it should be. These are some examples how you can build the paragraph. See, in the first sentence it says the above bar graph shows, not the following, the above bar graph shows. And also you can see, if I take you back to the previous question, you can see the y-axis and the x-axis, where you can see the number of students and also the different types of sports they would like to play or they enjoy. So it shows the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. Okay, the horizontal axis is the y-axis and the vertical axis is the x-axis. So you can use these terms to describe what the bar graph shows, what this particular pie chart shows. Okay, in the pie chart, of course, you don't have the y and the x-axis, do you? So you can, according to the given graph, whether it is pie chart or bar graph or the table, you will have to change the vocabulary, the words you use. And since we are focusing on the bar graph, let me continue with this particular question. The second paragraph can be based on the numbers, focus on the numbers. Now here we say 25 students like to play what? Based on the graph, you can write the name of the sport. 15 students like to play the name of the sport. And also you can focus on the most number, the least number, and also the equal number. The most number of students like to play this particular game, the least number of students like to play the name of the game, and then an equal number of students like to play. So these are common sentences you can remember and write it as it is in your question paper. You don't have to break your head and think and then create a new sentence. No need. These are some easy methods, some easy sentence patterns you can definitely use when it comes for writing, attempting this particular question, right? So that is question 14. Two options. One is the letter, the other one is the writing a paragraph based on graphical information. So the choice is yours. You know what your strength is. So based on that, you can definitely choose either the letter or this particular question. Right. Let's move on to test 16, the writing part. So this is like the nightmare for most of the students because you have to write a lot here. And what is tested here is your ability to write, okay? And also you are given enough choices under this question. உங்களுடைய எழுத்து திறமையை பார்க்குறதுக்காக தான் இந்த கொஸ்டின். உங்களுக்கு நல்லாவே தெரியும், டெஸ்ட் 16ல் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு கட்டுரை எழுத வேண்டி வரும். ஓகே, கட்டுரை மட்டுமில்லை, சில நேரம் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு கதை எழுத சொல்லுவாங்க, இல்லை ஒரு உரையாடல், இந்த மாதிரியான விஷயங்கள் வரும். Right? So it can be an article for a newspaper or an essay, a speech given on a topic, or a dialogue or a story. So these are choices given, so you can choose whatever you are good at. And the interesting part is this particular test has a technique that is, all these are guided writing, especially if you take the article, essay and the speech. Hope you remember you have done questions during your term tests. All these questions, all these topics are given along with some guidelines. So these guidelines are really helpful if you know, at that particular time, you don't have to waste time thinking and preparing, you can definitely take these guidelines and elaborate on each of these guidelines. Automatically, your paragraphs are formed. Usually when you write an essay, you start with an introduction, you end it with a conclusion. This is the usual format. And these guidelines will definitely help you to build the body of your essay or article or the speech, right? And then use to test whether you are using English creatively and innovatively in written communication. So whatever you have learned all these years from grade 3 onwards, okay, all your writing skills are tested now. This is the crucial point where your creative and innovative writing skill is tested. Now here are some examples. These are the guidelines as I mentioned earlier. Now this is to write an article to a newspaper. The first one is importance of learning another language. So if you take this particular topic, the guidelines are as follows. Your first language and other languages you can learn. Now imagine you write an introduction for this particular topic. Importance of learning another language. Maybe you give an introduction writing about languages, why we need language or something. And then to build your body, you can first talk about, in your first paragraph of the body, you can talk about your first language and other languages you can learn, right? Maybe in the Sri Lankan context. And then the language that you would like to learn and its advantages. It can be either English or French or German or Chinese, whatever language it may be. Then, see the guidelines. I'm showing you how these guidelines can help you. In the guidelines, உங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கப்பட்ட இந்த guidelines பேஸ் பண்ணி நீங்கள் உங்களுடைய பேராகிராஃப் எழுத ஆரம்பிச்சிங்கன்னு சொன்னால் நிச்சயமாக எழுதிட்டு போகும்போது நீங்கள் இடையில ஸ்டக் ஆகி நிற்க மாட்டீங்க. Okay, so please make use of these guidelines. And then the third one, state how would you use it for higher studies, right? So if you stick to these 3 guidelines and elaborate on them and come to a conclusion at the end, your paragraph, your essay is completely done. You can see how your essay is coming out in front of your very eyes. Okay, so this is, once again, is not difficult. I'm strictly advising you to go through this, to attempt this question, not to skip. Don't leave blank pages, right? You are given enough guidelines, enough support. It's just a matter of attempting a little more, working a little hard, right? So you still have time. You can go through, past papers and just get an idea of what sort of questions, what sort of topics you would get, and see how you can connect these guidelines, what you can add to this, how you can elaborate on them. Then definitely essay writing is going to be really easy for you. And let's take a look at some essay topics, just like we did the topics for articles. An essay on sports as an important part of a student's life. So if you take you may include the following. See, it's not compulsory, but you may include the following. So these are guidelines. That's why we call them guidelines, right? So you can be creative on your own way. You can definitely bring in your own ideas, but these are there to guide you. The place for sports in school calendar and facilities provided, and the importance of playing games, how important that is in a student's life. And if you take the sources of information as the topic, there also you have been given enough guidelines as common sources, examples are given, describe the sources you use, advantages of using them, and so on, right? So again and again I'm emphasizing on the usage of these guidelines and how these guidelines are going to definitely help you to build your essay. And then there are speech topics. That is something I would like to mention here, because when you say speech, you know speech is to deliver, right? So when you're writing a speech, make sure that you make it sound like a speech. You can definitely address the gathering. You can draw their attention saying, good morning, everybody. Okay, good morning. If it is at the school assembly, you know, the principal, teachers, and my dear friends, you know, you can definitely begin your speech with that, right? And also, when you end it, you can say, thank you for listening, or thank you for giving me this opportunity. So make it sound like a speech, even though you are writing it, make it sound like a speech, right? So if you take a look at this example, the guidelines given for the first topic, that is the effects of using polythene. Why do people use polythene? So these are, you know, these guidelines will definitely help you to think, right? How the use of polythene affects the environment. Steps that you could take to prevent the harmful effects of using polythene. So polythene, you know, the effect of polythene and the harmful effects, all of these are common stuff, you know, you just use polythene day to day in your day-to-day life, right? So these guidelines would definitely help you to bring out your ideas, your views. And then if you take the second topic given here, a speech you would make in the morning assembly on good health habits, prevent spreading of diseases. So the guidelines here are good health habits, like they have given examples to personal hygiene, homemade food, exercise, and then how they prevent diseases and what students can do in school. So these guidelines, even the guidelines, if you observe the way it is given, okay, when you elaborate, when you build your paragraphs based on these guidelines, you can definitely understand that there's a flow. Without your knowledge, you can feel that there's a flow. All these points are somewhat connected, and that will beautifully come down to a close where you can end it with a conclusion. So children, I'm telling you, please make use of these guidelines given in your question paper. Okay, there's no harm in taking time to read them, understand them, because as you understand them, it's just a matter of writing, right? So when you know what you're going to write, then definitely you will not get stuck in the middle of writing. So if you are not prepared, then definitely you will stop in the middle and you will look at the roof and think at that time. So that is a waste of time, right? So please make use of these, and also please use this particular method of sketching, putting a sketch, jotting down some points, little preparation at that very moment. That will definitely help you to build your essay or the speech. And then the next topic is stories and dialogues. Either you're given to write a story or a dialogue. Stories, of course, maybe in 2019 they have asked the students to write a folk story, but commonly, as you are familiar with your term test papers, questions are like you are given the beginning of the story, a small incident like last Sunday as I was going home after classes, and then the rest you will have to build. Or sometimes you are given a particular topic to write a story based on that, or they will give you a small sentence and to include that sentence somewhere in the story. So these are little challenges given to you. So if you are creative enough, If you're really good in your thinking, if you're innovative, then definitely you can go for writing stories. And dialogues also will definitely help you to bring out the views, but based on the given topic. I'll give you an example. And if you take 2020 and 2021 questions based on dialogues, the first one says, Rizvi and Shanal are students. They are discussing what they did during the holidays. Now the topic or the beginning of or the content matter is given already, right? So Rizvi says, it was a long vacation, wasn't it? Shanal says, yes, how did you like it? Now imagine Rizvi says, I watched a movie during the vacation, and the entire dialogue is based on that movie. It's not relevant. Remember that. The title is, or the subject matter is given, Rizvi and Shanal are students. They are discussing what they did during the holidays, right? So holidaysல அவங்க என்ன செஞ்சாங்கன்ற விடயம் தான் உங்களோட dialogueல வர வேண்டிய விஷயம். The content of the dialogue should be that, not anything else, right? Dialogue எழுதி கொண்டு போகிற நேரம் நீங்கள் வேறொரு ட்ராக்ல போகக்கூடாது. ஓகே, அந்த கேள்வியை இல்லைன்னா அந்த முக்கியமான சப்ஜெக்ட் மேட்டர் மைண்டில் வச்சுக்கணும். 2021 question goes as this. Nimali meets Kumari at the annual book fair after a long time. They had been in the primary classes together in the school. Imagine how they would have shared their past experiences and complete the dialogue they had between them. Same here. Nimali and Kumari are meeting after so many years, maybe, at a book fair, and what they are talking about is they're kind of recalling the past, their time together in the primary classes. So the dialogue should develop based on that. Okay, just because it is at the book fair, the dialogue should not be based on what book they like, why they have come there, and how many books they have bought, all of these things. No, it should be the matter, the content matter, which is given in that particular question. So please remember to stick to that particular given point, especially when you're writing the dialogue. Students might get carried away by their own thoughts. So please remember all these guidelines, and I hope you will definitely do a good job at your ordinary level exam paper. And once again, I'll just sum up the structure of the essay speech. You should have an introduction and then the body. As I mentioned earlier, you can make the best use of the guidelines given, and then bring it all together in one paragraph as a conclusion. And then these are two things which children normally don't do, that is rereading your composition. Okay, because you keep the essay to do it last, and then you do it until the very last moment. Sometimes you write it with a pencil and then pen it, and you waste time unnecessarily. So please make sure that you reread your composition to check your errors. Right? We make a lot of careless mistakes. So please make sure that you take some time to reread your own composition. And also underline the grammar mistakes and circle spelling. Imagine that you have made some mistakes, and when you trace them, when you are rereading them, just underline if it is a grammar mistake and correct it on top of it. Don't cut and cross and chop. Just underline it and write on top of it. And also the spelling errors. If you come across a spelling error, just circle that word and correct it on top of it. Then whoever is marking your paper will understand that that is the mistake you have made and you have corrected it. So rereading will definitely help you to make sure that you have made less mistakes or no mistakes at all. And here are some important points to all of you candidates. Candidates should include facts according to the guidelines given in the question, especially when it comes for writing essays. Please make sure that you include the guidelines. And grammatically correct, meaningful and simple sentences should be written. Please make it simple. You know the sentence patterns. So make simple sentences and try your level best to write it grammatically correct and meaningful sentences. And then organize the facts into paragraphs. I have mentioned it several times a few minutes ago. Organize your points. Follow the guidelines. and use punctuation marks and capitalization appropriately. This is also very important when it comes for writing your compositions. This is how the marking criteria goes for the essays. For the content, you are given 5 marks, language 5 marks, organization 3 marks, and mechanics of writing 2 marks, right? Let me elaborate this a little further. If you take the content, how these 5 marks is allocated, if all the points are included, whatever you are given in the guidelines, if it is included with sufficient facts and the required length, if the word limit is 200 to 250 words or 100 to 150 words, whatever the required length is, if you stick to that, then definitely you are given 4 to 5 marks. And then this is for the content, right? And then most of the facts are there, required length is there, but you know, there is something missing here and there, right? Not all the points are included, but most of the points are included. Between 2 and 3 you will get. Imagine a few facts are mentioned, okay? The student has attempted to write on the topic without going away from the topic, and but still the description is not sufficient. The elaboration is not there, so the idea hasn't come out well. But still, you know, a few facts are mentioned, you still get 1 mark, right? Language, almost no errors, well connected sentences, good range of vocabulary, and appropriate style, your own style. If you can write without almost no errors, with good flow, good connection, good grammar, then definitely you will get between 4 and 5. Some errors, careless mistakes, maybe meaning is not clear at times due to language problems. Sometimes since you have a bit of an issue in expressing your idea through the language, but still there is something which the examiner can understand, but still you have a good range of vocabulary, then you are given 2 to 3 marks. Only a few corrected sentences, correct sentence, only a few sentences are correct, then you still get 1 mark. Okay, if the sentences are not correct, then obviously no marks given. Let's take a look at the other 2 as well. Organization. When it comes to organization, well organized ideas. So we call it a flow. You must have heard this word flow. There should be a flow in your essays. Your teachers must be telling you. Connected, meaningful paragraphs. Whatever you say, you definitely should bring out some meaning in that paragraph. An appropriate beginning and ending, especially when it comes for a speech or a story. நீங்க ஒரு ஸ்பீச் எழுதுறதா இருந்தாலும் ஒரு ஸ்டோரி எழுதுறதா இருந்தாலும் அதுக்கான சரியான ஆரம்பமும் முடிவும் இருக்கணும் கண்டிப்பா. So if you write that, then under organization you get 3 marks, and if the ideas are somewhat organized, not well organized but somewhat organized, 2 marks, and the ideas are not well organized but ideas are there but not organized, 1 mark is given. And when it comes for the mechanics of writing, if there are no spelling errors, correct punctuations, clear handwriting. This is a question most of the students have, whether they cut marks for untidy handwriting. Yes, they do, right? So clear handwriting is a must, and if you have clear handwriting, no spelling errors and correct punctuation, you get 2 marks under the criteria of mechanics of writing, and a few errors in spellings and punctuation, still clear handwriting, you get 1 mark. So if your handwriting is not good, not clear, if the examiner is finding it really difficult to figure out the words you have written, then no marks at all. So students, that wraps up this program specially organized by the Department of English of the National Institute of Education, Sri Lanka. So this is a guiding hand for you towards your English language examination at the forthcoming O-level examinations. The Department of English of NIE wishes all of you all the very best to face your paper successfully and stay blessed. Thank you.